It was amazing to have, my father be so resilient and so strong. And it really was a unique feeling so helpless, no matter how good I was at football, no matter how good my grades were. My dad still suffered. And it also opened my eyes to the fact that a lot of people are in this situation.
Hey guys, I'm Brianna DiPolato, and this is The Second Act, a monthly video series introducing you to interesting people with really interesting stories. Every guest has a connection to organ, eye, and tissue donation and transplantation. Now, Ryan Harris is no different. His family has been impacted by the gift of life not once, but twice. So we'll talk to him about that. We'll also explore his professional football career, talk about his faith, and what he's up to now.
We're on the field now with Ryan Harris. Ryan,
best feeling in the world. I'm so thankful. Thanks to God, my family, everybody back home in St. Paul, Minnesota, everybody back in Denver, baby. We brought it home, baby. Woo!
I'm Ryan Harris, 10-year veteran of the NFL, and I'm all about impact. And it starts with my family at home. I love my 3 kids, raising them, and husband to 1, father to 3. And then it goes to the Denver community and beyond through broadcasting, speaking, my book. I just want to make sure, when you win the Super Bowl, everything you believe about yourself comes true for other people. And so whether it's, youth in our communities, whether it's companies who are going through stressful times, I want people to have that moment of success in their life. And it starts with your mindset, and it includes other things like financial literacy, what to do as a leader. And through my radio show, through the broadcasts I do, I really get to have those conversations with people and encourage people to chase their dreams and overcome their obstacles.
And it all started, I guess, at least in my mind, with football. So when did that go from being a hobby and a fun sport to something really serious as you were a kid going into your teen years and so on?
I smile because I don't know if football was ever serious. I just loved it. I was a chubby kid when I was younger, and football I started playing football at the age of 14, and I didn't even know how to hit. I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't even know how to put on the pads the right way. But in football, football really loved me first, in that there was a place for me as a bigger kid. I could protect and create and and dominate, all these things that I just wasn't exposed to outside of football. And I had great coaches that told me, hey Ryan, you could be special. You could really go far if you could continue to work at it. And I just was I was so in love with football that I wanted to maximize the time which I could play it. It took me to Notre Dame. We played. I played a game in London. Won a Super Bowl. I mean, I'm a kid from St. Paul who's done it all.
What are some of the highlights that stand out within that career?
Well, one, getting drafted by the Broncos. Getting drafted. It's just a surreal feeling. And it's funny how much I didn't know about Denver, right? All I knew is that it had mountains. But that was a huge moment. It was also a huge moment when the Broncos released me, and I went to Houston and played for 2 years for the Houston Texans, played with the Kansas City Chiefs, and then came back to Denver. And to win a Super Bowl in Denver, the team that drafted me, where my family and I live, it's just amazing. And it's great to get a dinner reservation anytime you want, and be a part of this city. And then to end my career at the Pittsburgh Steelers was a true gift. One of the most storied, winningest franchises in history, a franchise that has a lot of Notre Dame players that have made history there as well. And I got to, work with Mike Tomlin, one of the best leaders I've ever been able to work with. So an amazing career that taught me a lot, mostly, to continue to work hard, to find new skills, and to, take yourself a little less seriously.
Throughout your years of playing, so from college through your professional career, who would you say were some of your biggest support systems, or, were family members or friends really rallying behind you, and who was that?
My parents, my mother and father. My parents never pushed me to play football. My mother's, I still remember she didn't want to talk about me playing football until she found out that it was going to pay for college. And then it was, it's kind of acceptable. What is this football game you're playing, But my dad was, at every game but 3 that I can remember. And that included some away games. And just their presence, their encouragement, and more than anything, their encouragement when failure happened. There were many moments throughout my career that they couldn't be there for, right? When I got knocked out of my shoes in practice as a freshman at Notre Dame, my parents couldn't be there for me. In the middle of a game, if something goes wrong, they can't be there for me. But they were always there after, regardless. And that was a huge, huge impact on my life, in addition to some of the coaches I have.
While you were playing, and help me with the timeline here, your dad was feeling sick and he eventually needed a transplant, right? So tell us his story a little bit, and how that impacted you and your path.
As I went to football at 14, my father was in the process of getting his transplant, and it was just a surreal experience to know that he was suffering, but also there was some light at the end of the tunnel. His best friend actually in college and roommate donated his kidney to him, and because my dad was black, my father's donor and best friend was kind of outcast from his family in Wisconsin for doing it. So it just exploded my world into realities that I was totally unaware of. And then later on in my career, when my father had to have his kidney transplant again, he had to have a second kidney transplant. Well, this time it was my wife's father who, through a match program, donated his kidney. And I still remember the year we won the Super Bowl in 2015. My father was coming out to try and catch games, but he'd come out on a Friday so he could get dialysis Friday morning or afternoon here in Denver, so he could go to the game Sunday and sometimes go to dialysis on Monday. So, it was amazing to have, my father be so resilient and so strong.
So what can you say to people that don't have this type of experience and they don't have a loved one that, has to rely on dialysis to keep going and then has to eventually rely on a transplant to stay alive?
Yeah, well, first I would say you probably do know somebody who's suffering. I think that, kidney failure is, it's the 8 degrees of separation, right? Or 5 degrees of separation. You know someone who knows someone who's suffering. But I learned the power and joy that one person can give with a selfless act. My father was able to go to my games in college, and we named my brother's younger than me, but we named his middle name after his kidney donor. And every year my dad and his donor would come to an NFL game, and they would come to Notre Dame games, and the joy that my father was able to live with because of his love and his kindness, it's unparalleled. I really do not think people understand how much joy they give to life, not just the person you give to, but the people that they love, who can then love them without having to see them tired. It's just an amazing gift, and something that we all are capable of, and something that I'm committed to for the rest of my life.
Also influence a little bit your faith as you got older, because you're a man of faith, you're a practicing Muslim, and I know we've talked to you on other videos that they can check out on our website at donoralliance.org, but where did that come into play?
To give joy is such an immense opportunity for me as a person of faith, but also, as for us as a community, and it strengthened my faith in people. My Christian brothers and sisters talk about agape love, and in the Islamic tradition, they say, want for your brother what you want for yourself. So this real idea of selflessness, I had real world examples of, and it strengthened not only my belief in our ability, but the reality of it. I think many people say, I want to make an impact, I want to change lives, and then they don't know what to do, or they don't seek out what to do. And whether it's putting, your heart on the driver's license, having conversations with loved ones, calling a loved one, all of these things are actions we can take.
So what would you say to folks that are watching that have no idea still kind of what donation is? Maybe they're thinking about signing up, but they're not sure, and they want more information.
There are people in need, and in our community, you can make a huge difference, and you can change hundreds of lives, not just by, my father's life. Because he was able to get his second kidney, his first kidney, his second kidney. I mean, because of his first kidney, he was able to see his son, get drafted, go to the NFL, get married. My sister to go to medical school, graduate medical school, and become a doctor. You give life to hundreds of others, and you give a million moments to people in your community when you join in the efforts of Donate Life. It's just an amazing gift that you can give. It's something that is in line with all of our Abrahamic teachings, no matter what faith you are. And it's something that I wish I could spend the rest of my life showing the smiles that my father and I have had because of the love and care of others. And I want to have that impact on my community as well.